Hey, wait. Before you skip ahead, just to let you know, you can actually watch the full version of this on our Patreon, and you can actually watch next week's episode a full week in advance. I mean, it's very easy. I mean, right down there in the description, or right up here in the corner. Feel free to give it a click, and we'll see you there. Lord have mercy, look where we're at. We are here at the cusp of the end of Cowboy Bebop. But before we get to the last 3 or 4 episodes, last 3, I believe, 24, 25, and 26. Before we get to the end of the line, we are going into Cowboy Bebop the movie.
Oh crap! Someone should grab that. And show it off.
Here. Oh, okay. Chad's got it.
We're not gonna open it.
No.
Snake didn't want me to open it. He didn't know I hadn't opened it yet, but
still in its plastic wrapper. And we are going to be at a convention in December that will have Steve Blum there.
So he signed my set, so hopefully I can get him to sign that too.
Yeah, if you can get him to sign both of these and just be like, hey, look what I got. Yeah. I got both here. Woo! So
yeah, you'll have to open it for that.
Well,
or just
not
leave it
necessarily.
in the
just let him sign the plastic.
Yeah.
You think it'll stay?
Oh, dude.
If you use a Sharpie, it will.
Okay.
Yeah, if you use I'll get a silver Sharpie. That way it'll stay. There you go.
We bought a kid's book today for a baby shower, and we tried to use a marker on that thing.
Set that over there on the other side of me.
No go, man.
Well, yeah, because
you can't ride on them. They got them to where kids can't jack them up.
Yeah, they've got like an enamel shielding on them that prevents markers, crayons, paint from sticking to it.
So I was thinking, I wonder if that jack it up.
I think where that's just a regular plastic shell, it'll be able to be written on, and all he'll have to do is just put it in like a Ziploc bag and bring it back here, so that way the ink doesn't rub off, and he can just have it on the shelf as a memento, a permanent memento and a staple to his favorite voice actor of all time, Steve Blum. Praise be unto him. But Steve Blum's a badass dude. I mean, the amount of voice roles he's had throughout his career, and just from what everyone says in the con environment, he is one of the coolest, most approachable people who never has this air of superiority about him that some voice actors get. Yeah, you know who you are.
He was really friendly when I met him, and the kid in front of me, I got to overhear their conversation, and the kid in front of me was a little kid, and he liked him from Star Wars, you know?
Yeah.
And so he was like, oh, you want me to say the Star Wars line for you? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, which one do you want me to say? And he's like, I don't know. And he's like, let's bash some bucket heads or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
And the kid was just like, yeah. It was really cool.
He figured out he was in Star Wars then.
And I was like, hey, man, like, I don't meet famous people often, so I don't really know what to say, but I was wondering if you'd sign this for me. He's like, oh, hell yeah, man, Bebop. And
yeah.
It's like, yeah, what do you want me to put on it? And I was like, it surprised me, I guess. And so he wrote, he just wrote, like, to Nick, sees Space Cowboy Bang. And signed Steve Blum. I was like, hell yeah, that'll work. Cool. I told him I had recently played Metal Gear Solid, I think, not Portable Ops, but the other one that was on, like, Acid? The PlayStation Vita. Not Acid.
Not Acid.
I think it was actually the one that was on PS Vita, not the PSP.
Metal Gear Survive?
Not Survive.
No, I'm fucking with you at this point. Survive sucks.
What did they call that fucking game? But he was in the game, and I told him, I was like, that was really cool to, like, hear both you and David Hayter, because you guys are, like, two of my favorite voice actors, you know, like, doing parts together. And he's like, oh, yeah, I actually just heard my stuff from that recently, and that was when I realized that voice actors don't always actually get to hear their stuff that they do.
No, they don't. A lot of them don't hear it until it's in the raw, like either a raw cut of. If it's a movie,
well, a lot of them apparently don't hear it at all because they do so much of it. They don't have time to go back and listen to it or watch all of it.
That's if they get invited like a premiere or something. It's just like this right here. Steve Blum, when he did the voice acting for this, he didn't hear it until it was on DVD. He didn't get to see the American premiere, which was only in theaters, I think, for about 2 weeks before they pulled it because it didn't make as much money because anime films, am I right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, Japan, I mean, you know, he couldn't go all the way out to Japan for it, so you had to see it on DVD like everyone else. I remember when this dropped on DVD, I begged my dad to drive me to the nearest Best Buy, which was Johnson City, I think, at the time. And we drove all the way to Johnson City, and I'm like, hey, Pop, I know we're over here for some stuff, but can we go to this Best Buy real quick? There's something I want to buy. And I didn't know if they had it or not. All I saw is that it was released and that Best Buy was picking it up, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go in here. And I asked, and the guy said, yeah, we got a copy or two over here of it. And I look, and there's 3 copies, and I go up and grab one. And as soon as I go up and grab one, another guy rounds the corner, comes up and grabs the next one. I'm just like, one left. Okay, I'm glad. I got one of the last 3. So I bolted, got out of there, and I packed it up. And my dad was curious about it, and I told my dad what it was, and he's like, I was like, you know how like Star Wars is like set in space and everything, and there's all sorts of, you know, like Han Solo's like a space cowboy, stuff like that. It's kind of like that, except they still use real guns, and they still use like fly like more conventional aircraft and not starcraft and stuff like that. And Dad's like, well, that's pretty cool, son. I like that. And my dad saw a little bit of it, and where it's animated, of course, when he was in that generation where animated, if it wasn't like heavy metal, which he went and watched heavy metal at a drive-thru, and to him it was like a crazy experience. He actually left halfway through because
heavy metal was crazy, man.
Yeah. And of course, also a few other animated films. I didn't know this, but my mom a long time ago saw a movie called Warriors of the Wind, and she told me about it. It was an animated film that she said was okay, but it just felt like it was like really, really rushed, and it didn't feel like a lot of the story stuff didn't add up. Come to find out later, that was actually Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind by Hayao Miyazaki, probably the greatest Japanese animation director ever. But an American company got a hold of it and chopped it up into an atrocity of a film. And my mom saw Warriors of the Wind a long time ago. I did not know that. I asked her about it, and I was just like, so you saw this? And she's like, kind of. It's different. It's a lot. There's a lot more stuff here. And I'm like, wow. And it's strange when you find this stuff out. And
well, that was like Dragon Ball for Dragon Ball Z for me. I saw it on Fox Kids.
Yeah.
Like, super early, like 7 in the morning, 6 in the morning. Way before Dragon Ball Z. This had to have been like 95, 96.
I remember when it was on.
And then whenever Dragon Ball Z came out, I was like, holy shit, this was... I know these characters, but it was way different.
Yeah, they were older. They were young adults.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about the Dragon Ball series is that it had a very weird release cycle here in the States because it was on Fox, and then after Dragon Ball didn't find the right audience, they went with Dragon Ball Z. It found some audience, but Fox couldn't afford to keep the rights to it. And that's when Time Warner got a hold of it and was just like, well, we're doing this weird stuff on Cartoon Network, trying to show like Sailor Moon and stuff like that. Let's put this on here and see what happens. And what happens next?
Changed my life.
It becomes the most popular anime show to probably ever be released in the United States ever. I mean, it single-handedly... I know a lot of people are just like, oh, it's overrated, this and that. Say it's overrated all you want. Tell me that the world would not be the same if Dragon Ball Z was not on Toonami when we were kids.
Your mom's overrated.
That's right.
Of course she is, man. I mean, she asked for too much money. I mean...
Make me some breakfast.
Back to that old freaking thing. All right. So, anyway, we're going to get to this. Let's get this up on screen. And, like I said, we're only going to be watching the first half of this. The rest of it we will be watching later. But for now, we're going to get to it. 3, 2, 1, go.
It was just that he was all alone. Always by himself. A man who lived in dreams. That's who he was.
Time to go. Wake up. You know what the world is like? It's like a boiling pot with a soggy stew inside. That one ingredient that makes it a stew. And do you know what that is?
The meat?
That's what everyone says. The meat.
Yeah.
But that same meat could be used for anything. It's the stew mix that makes it a stew.
Stew mixes on aisle 5. We have to
You see this logo? That's your security company. I used to work for those guys not long ago. Ain't that ironic?
Uh-huh.
Well,
No.
laugh. Laugh a little more. Let's have a big laugh. It's nothing to laugh about. Go somewhere else.
Yeah, John Waters called.
Hey.
He wants his mustache back.
What the hell you think you're doing? You! Are you deaf or what?
Oh, he's got AirPods in. He can't hear.
How much is this?
Hey, I hope it's decaf. Wrong approach. Just swipes the donut out the air. Oh, no. Huh? Oh, no.
You said 3, not 4.
Throw down your guns now!
And you take too long to take a shit.
Damn.
That's an insult right there.
Yeah. Same stuff my girlfriend says to me.
Sorry, lady, but we don't protect or serve. This is strictly business.
Cowboy scumbag. Wait a minute. I know you didn't mean that, Spike.
Good shot.
Ow.
Ow.
What are you?
Just a humble bounty hunter, man.
Yes.
Humble.
Let's go, Jet, before we're old.
Don't rush me.
Shogi. Pretty much like chess.
You don't even have a strategy, do you?
Just make a move.
You're all instinct and impulse. That's how you live, and that's how you play.
Yeah, it's your turn.
For instance, that old lady back there could have been killed. You ever think about that?
I try not to think.
Well, that's the point. Oh, right. That's just where I was gonna put it. I got you now.
It's me, Faye! Bradford boy went through the 8th toll booth on line 12, and now he's going to the city.
Oh, I hate pint-sized bounty heads.
So this is y'all's favorite song from the movie?
No.
Absolutely.
It's good, though. Soundtrack, once again, picked
that's
by
debatable.
Yoko Kanno.
Because it sounds like something that these hoes be listening to.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
John Wick.
John Wick and Commander Rocker's illegitimate love child.
John Riker.
Oh shit. That even sounds good.
Yeah, it does.
Oh shit, he's a vampire.
Kind of looks like one. It would make sense.
Except he's out in sunlight, so...
Daywalker.
Chris Angel's dad.
It reminds me of like Vamp from Metal Gear Solid, just a tiny
Kind
bit.
of,
So.
yeah.
Somebody that would play guitar for Prince.
As a member of the Revolution.
Tanker exploded on the Alba City Freeway near Red Hills. 72 are confirmed dead and 425 injured as federal hazmat teams work to clear the area.
We only know it involved hazardous materials which have yet to be identified.
I know that voice. She played Tsunade in Naruto.
Debbie Mae West?
Yes.
However, according to police records, this tanker truck was reportedly stolen earlier in the day.
Just pull the string and it's ready to go. We have some sushi in a cup, but the
I would
date's expired.
bust my face if I
But
tried
if
that.
that doesn't bother you, you want meat, you gotta catch big game, not small fries at a convenience store.
Posted a reward for the capture of the culprits of 300 million wulongs.
Huh? That got their attention.
How's it look?
Where do I start? Never seen symptoms like this. The patients have intracranial hypertension, that's increased brain pressure, but there are no wounds, no apparent cause. Every patient had an increased lymphocyte count, but now the counts are back to normal, yet the symptoms are getting worse. Maybe it's some new kind of virus we don't know how to detect yet. Or a biological weapon.
Bruh.
Sorry, I have hay fever.
Wait a...
Scared the shit out of those dudes.
There's no smoking in here.
They're making total fools of us.
Okay, this is the hacker, Lee Sampson. Reward 5 million wulongs. I found a credit card listed under an alias he's been using. The driver of this truck was using that credit card when it exploded. But the driver wasn't Sampson. It was someone else. I know exactly what he looks like.
Magic pencil.
Huh?
You can draw on the screen, just like a profiler. Show us the man-man.
Yeah. It's about as good as I can do.
Bruh.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. If anyone can catch him with that drawing, I'll pay you the bounty myself, eh?
Hey.
Yeah, we sure did fly high, didn't we?
Used to be cowboys too in the old days.
Then, you understand, right?
We understand plenty, and that's why we're out of here.
Bye.
Are you looking for a bean shop, my friend?
We've all used one of those lighters before.
I want one.
And the boy is looking for beans.
That's why I don't recommend the calabar beans.
Yeah.
They're used to find out if your wife is cheating on you. The innocent eat it once, they choke and spit them out.
Uh-huh.
But I'm not
Sneaky.
married.
Now that is true happiness.
Right, see what I'm looking for
Calabar
is-
beans are no good.
I'm looking for the kind that kill people, like in that tanker accident.
We long to shoot through space because humans used to fly long ago.
So you sell drugs here, huh?
Imagination enhancers. If you imagine something, it can come into being. Imagine a devil, and he may show up. It's perfect for you. No, I think not. This vase is perfect for him.
Huh?
Rashid is right. It's perfect for you.
Listen, I didn't come here to shop for souvenirs.
Oh, but you
Now
did.
his hands are
And you
full.
got a good one, too.
Hey, hold on!
Asayid Yarafi.
Hey!
Just like that. He's gone. All right. So that's a cut.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, like, we can outro this if you want.
Yeah.
Like, basically, like, our plan is to split the movie into 4 parts so that I can edit these into 10-minute segments so that we can get the parts up on YouTube for all you guys, so you don't have to be on our Patreon to see some of our reaction to this.
Indeed.
So.
Yes. True.
But if you do want to see the entire movie and see us react to the whole thing, we'll have all of that up on the Patreon.
Absolutely.
And the link to that is in the description.
Yes.
So I don't know what release schedule you're
We'll
planning on for these. Are you going to release 2 at a time on YouTube, or
maybe 2
one
at a time?
one
It
week?
depends on what's done. I mean,
But I'm pretty sure you can also get early access with the lower Patreon tiers to the full thing probably after the first part's out. So
oh yeah,
if you
definitely.
can't wait to see the rest of it, feel free to check that out as well.
All right. Well, all right. I'm going to end this recording here. So I guess we'll see you on the next one.
See you on the next part. See ya, Space Cowboy.